Part B. Okay, if you missed part A, I talked about my cancer diagnosis 1 year ago. I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. I talked about my symptoms, my diagnosis, my treatment, and I ended after my surgery and getting the news that I was cancer-free after 5 weeks after my surgery. You might think that's the end of my story, but it's not. Unfortunately, there was so much more, which I think is a big thing that people miss out on when looking into, like I said, when I got my diagnosis, I wanted videos, I wanted like concrete facts, I wanted people's opinions, I wanted people's experiences. And this was one thing that I certainly did not find out there. So I'm going to start from after my surgery, sort of how things unraveled. It was chaotic. But about 4 days after my surgery, I was at home. I was sleeping on the chair. I, couldn't do much more than watch TV and do laps around my kitchen. But about the 4th day, I found that I was having a really hard time breathing. I couldn't catch my breath. Like, when you take a deep breath, like, and you kind of get that like feeling right here that tells you that it's like a full breath. I couldn't get that. I was just like, like I couldn't get that deep breath right from your diaphragm. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, couldn't do it. And it just kept getting like worse and worse and worse as days went on. And it was just me and my husband at home. My parents and my in-laws were kind of taking turns with my kids. So I didn't have anything else to worry about, but just recovering. And this breath thing was driving me crazy. I also knew that if you were short of breath, it could mean a blood clot. So there was a part of my head that was quite worried about this. And I did talk to my doctor about it, and they were like, it's nothing, like, didn't think anything of it. I believe they sent me for blood work to make sure it wasn't a blood clot, but they said the blood work was going to be so skewed because I had just had a surgery and there's going to be a lot of blood clotting going on in the positive manner. So I don't know. They claimed they checked and there was no blood. So, yeah, so I was still just having so much trouble breathing. One night my husband left to go to a class, a jiu-jitsu class. And as soon as he left, I was like, I just was like trying to catch my breath. And all of a sudden I just went into like a full panic attack. I have like felt panicky before. If I like jump into a cold lake, I like lose my breath to the point that I'm like a bit panicked and have to get out. But nothing like this. Like it was, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't like see straight. My mind was like I couldn't get my thoughts together. If you've ever had a panic attack, you know what I'm talking about, but just complete panic. I had to phone my husband and be like, you need to come home. Like, I don't know what's going on. He came home and I was just like I couldn't stand up. I was like, I can't even make it to urgent care. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he like forced me to get up, get in the car, and we drove to urgent care. And as soon as I got there, I told him, I think I'm having a panic attack. And I told the nurse, like, I think I'm having a panic attack. Like, I just, whatever. So, they got me in right away and they gave me Ativan. And I've never taken anything like that before, anything. And I was so worried in my head that I was going to be like out of control, even more than I am, like out of control of my body. And like, I've never been able to not control my mind. So I was super worried about taking it. I don't know. So I was like kind of panicking about my panic attack and taking this, but whatever. The doctor's like, just take it because I was like losing my mind. So I took it right away, felt so much better. Went for a little walk, came back, and I felt a lot better. I was finally able to, like, the odd breath, catch that breath. And this was the first time in so many times that I would hear this dreaded saying that I just wanted to kick people for. But he said, you've been through so much, it would be expected for you to feel this way. don't let people tell you this. It is not normal and is not expected to feel that way. It is horrible. Absolutely horrible. If you suffer from panic attacks, like I will say this several times in this video, but get help. You do not need to feel that way. You should not feel that way. It is awful, horrible. I would not wish it on my worst enemy. So this was the start of 3 weeks of a constant panic attack. Like, I mean, all day, every day panic. All I did was pace around. I don't know how, like, if you've had panic attacks, how you deal with them. For me, walking and cold air. I'm so lucky that it was cold outside, because I would go outside and just walk up and down my backyard. It was the only way that I was kind of able to function. I asked for my kids to be brought home because I kind of thought that that would be a good distraction for me, concentrate on what they're doing instead of how I feel. It did help a little bit, but honestly, it was 3 weeks of a constant panic attack. So once I had this panic attack, I realized that the last time I had a bit of a panic attack was when after I had my LEEP procedure, I had an infection and I had a bit of a panic attack then. So I thought, and then as soon as I treated my infection, the panic went away. So I was like, oh my God, I have an infection. Like, my body's telling me that there's an infection there. So I went to my family doctor, and at the same time I got my staples removed. And I said, you know, I think I have an infection. Like, last time I had a panic attack, I had an infection, and I think that this is what's going on. So she started feeling around, and she did feel a lump that she said, yes, this does feel like an infection. So she called my surgeon and they put me on an antibiotic. And if you watch my last video, I was on an antibiotic for my LEEP, and I think I only mentioned one in that video, but I was actually on 2 rounds of antibiotics for that infection, and then another one now. And this was now the 5th round of antibiotics in 1 year. So yeah, on those antibiotics, I went home, like, didn't do anything. I was like, I don't think these antibiotics are working. Still panicky. So I decided to try and go to the source. I went to the hospital where my surgery was, hoping that my surgeon would see me, or hoping that, you know, they had communication with my surgeon. So I went to that hospital, ER, and they did like a bit of an ultrasound, and they noticed there was a hematoma behind my entire incision. And they said oftentimes hematomas can get infected. So they put me on a stronger antibiotic. So this is now the 6th round of antibiotics that I've been on in a year. So left there, more antibiotics. I should also mention, every single doctor that I went to gave me a prescription for Ativan. The first doctor, at the first time I had my panic attack, the ER doctor, just gave me about 3 tablets in case it happened again. Then my family doctor, I said, I had already gone through those 3. I said, I need more, or I need to do something else. So she gave me a prescription for, so the first doctor gave me fast release ones. So it works within like almost immediately. Then when my doctor prescribed it to me, I didn't realize that there was different kinds. And she gave me a prescription for ones that take about 10 minutes to kick in, which gave me like a panic attack just thinking about having to wait 10 minutes. So when I went to the next ER doctor, I said, can I get more of the fast release tablets? And so she gave me a few more, not very many, like 8 maybe. And all this time, like, I have my kids at home. I feel horrible when I take Ativan. I just sleep. Like, it knocks me right out. I feel absolutely horrible. Like, I don't want to take them. And other than those like 3 that I took from the beginning, I didn't take any more. I just absolutely hated the way I felt on them. But then I went back. So I'm still in this like constant panic attack mode. I finally like just break down one day. I call my gynecologist and I'm bawling, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't function. Like, I need help. Like, I don't know what to do. So they said, come in and see me, but they couldn't, the doctor was gone and couldn't see me till the following. Oh, sorry, that was on a Thursday and they couldn't see me till Monday. So that Thursday, it was just like, I couldn't deal with it anymore. It was so horrible. I ended up in urgent care again. This urgent care visit, I was just, like I said, I was at my wit's end. I was so done. I walked in there and I was just like, I need to get my point across. Like, I need them to see how bad this is. Like, something is wrong. Something is not right. And I can't function like this. Like, I can't go on feeling this way. So I walked in and I was like, what? Like, I don't know how to get them to see how bad this is. So I went in and I said, like, I need you to understand how bad this is. Like, at this point, I want the cancer back. That is the wrong thing to say. Wrong thing to say. Immediately, they are like, I get all sorts of questions. Do you want to harm yourself? Are you okay to go home? Like, they were so worried that I was going to harm myself. And that hadn't crossed my mind. Like, that was not what I was trying to get across. I was trying to get across that I wanted my life back. Like, the complete opposite of that. I was like, it was the worst conversation I've ever had. It was so horrible. It didn't work, obviously. And her prescription, her idea to help me, she said, take an Ativan every morning, noon, and night. She said, hopefully that'll get ahead of it. You've heard me talk a little bit about my problems with the medical system. I love doctors, absolutely love doctors. I have the utmost respect for doctors. But to tell a mother of 3 to just be high all day, every day, like, how? Like, how was I supposed to do that? Like, I don't know. It was so frustrating. That's not how I wanted. I didn't want to be high all day. I wanted my life back. I didn't want to be, like, sleep. I literally, had I taken 3 Ativans a day, I would have slept my life away. I don't know. So frustrating. And when I did take Ativan, it would like kick in, I'd feel better. And then as soon as it wore off, I would just be right back to square one. So like, it wasn't helping. It wasn't going to get ahead of it. It was just like prolonging this problem. It wasn't, I was so done. After that trip to urgent care, I was like, I'm done. I'm done seeing doctors. They're not helping me. I don't know what to do. I was with my mother-in-law. She had come with me. And on the way home, we drove past a naturopath. And I was like, pull in there. She's like, okay. Like, she was also willing to do anything for me because I was going insane. So I pulled in, I walked in, and I was like, I need to see a doctor. Like, I need help. And she was like, okay, well, we can't get you until Monday. And I was like, I need to see her sooner. Like, today. I need to see her today. And she's like, well, we will put you on a cancellation list. They do come up often, and hopefully you can get in today or tomorrow. I said, okay, like, whatever you can do, please. So she sent me home. And the next day I got a call that there was a cancellation. In the meantime, so in this like 24 hours, one of my friends asked me to go for lunch with her. And I was like, you know what, that'll be good for me. Like, get my mind off something. I love going for lunch normally. I drove there, picked her up, and got halfway to the restaurant. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm just gonna have a panic attack. And I took her home. That, like, I literally could not live my life. At that point, I couldn't do anything. So the next day I got a call that the naturopath had a cancellation, and I went in and I just like laid it out. Like I said, I was done. I didn't know what to do anymore. I said, this is what happened. She went over a complete family history. Like, I'm talking any problems I have had my entire life, from the day I was born until that day. She went through every single one of my family members. She went through my extended family. We covered who has all had cancer, who you know, suffers from any other problem out there. And through all of that, she can see I come from an extremely healthy family. Cancer is not a big thing in my family. Anxiety and panic, I have never dealt with. My family has never dealt with that. So she was like, yeah, this isn't normal. Like, this isn't right. She went through my cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. And she just told me, like, the things, like I mentioned in my last video, I said, it takes 2 to 3 years. I can't remember what it was, 2 or 3 years for your hormones to regulate after you've had a baby. Well, I had had 5 pregnancies in 7 years. And my most recent was only a year before all of this cancer stuff happened. So, I mean, my hormones were like, just wacko cracko, like crazy. My stress hormones were like off the charts. Like, my body was just like you can't handle any more. And then when you couldn't handle any more, you did more, like cutting yourself open and taking out all of your woman parts. Like, my body was screaming for help. And that is exactly how I felt. Like, everything she said, I was like, that to a T. And like, she nailed so many things, like so many things. I was like, yep. She's like, are you having trouble being alone? Yep. As soon as my husband left the house, I had a panic attack. Like, yep. And then she just, like, everything she said just nailed it. So she put me on a couple different supplements, and then she gave me like it's a green tea extract, and you take it like when you start to feel panicky. And this was, I mean, it did so much for me, but it was also just this amazing gauge for me, right? Like, when I got home that day, I was taking this supplement every 15 minutes. 15 minutes, it stretched out to about half an hour that day. That weekend, my son was in a jiu-jitsu competition, and if you know me, I like love jiu-jitsu competitions, and I was not missing it. I didn't care if I had to be high on Ativan the whole time. So I went and I was taking these supplements 2 every half an hour, just consistently, and they would calm me down until the next half an hour. And I was just constantly taking these supplements, but they helped me so much. Like, it got me to that jiu-jitsu tournament. Like I said, I just couldn't drive to my friend's house across town and go for lunch, but now I'm at a jiu-jitsu tournament. Like, I was amazed by that. It gave me a bit of confidence. I was still constantly having, it felt more now like I could have a panic at any time, but I wasn't in the midst of one. Like, for 3 weeks, I felt like I was in the dead center of a panic attack for 3 weeks. Now I felt like at any moment I could have one, if that makes any sense. So progress, but still a horrible feeling. So after that, I got down to like 1 supplement every hour. And then plus I was on other supplements to support my adrenals. So my diagnosis was adrenal fatigue. Basically, my body's done. My stress is maxed out, done. So just to support my cortisol levels, support my adrenals, and I just kept taking these supplements, and day by day, it just kept getting better. I was like, I am beyond grateful to this naturopath. She was the only one that took me seriously. She was the only one that acknowledged that something was wrong. It wasn't in my head. It wasn't that I had been through a lot. It was expected. It was, something was wrong, and she did something to fix it. She wasn't trying to cover the symptom with Ativan. She was trying to cure the cause with actual supplements to help me. Like, so grateful, so grateful. So I, went on those supplements. I saw her again after 3 weeks. I think she wanted to see me. and I went in and I was like, you know, I do feel a lot better. I do kind of have this like, still like a panicky feeling. I said, do you think that it could possibly be the anesthetic? Because some research that I had been doing, a lot of people had this feeling after a major surgery, and oftentimes it was a major abdominal surgery. So I found that interesting, that maybe this was like a bit of a side effect of the surgery. I said, and because I had such a horrible experience with my anesthesiologist, I really wanted to blame him. And I don't think that I'm wrong, especially because it was like the not being able to breathe feeling. Like I felt like maybe it was taking a really long time for my anesthetic to leave my body. And she said some people do have a bit of a harder time breaking down the anesthetic. So that day she put me on a cleanse, and it was a cleanse to clear my liver, which is what breaks down your anesthetic. Liver, kidneys, and some other organ. And I had to drink this in water. I had like 60 drops 3 times a day, I think. And it was just really to flush out my organs. I do feel like that did a lot. I felt a lot better after that. She also adjusted my medication a little to more of like an anxiety med versus like a full panic attack med. So at that point I was on two different supplements, and then my like emergency one, it's called Calm Pro, that I take when I feel panicky, my Calm Pro, and then my cleanse. Those combination, I definitely was feeling better. Like I was getting significantly better each day. I was going like a couple hours feeling normal. That increased to, you know, maybe the afternoon I felt pretty good, or the morning I felt normal. I was having longer stretches throughout the day that I didn't feel panicky. But still every day was feeling that way. Then it stretched to like, we were getting into the summer at this point. We camp a lot. We camp all summer. Plus my husband was home quite a bit, so we went for long stretches. This really helped. I felt the fresh air really helping. I was getting out, I was getting exercise, I was getting my mind off of things. I was concentrating on what the kids were doing. And I felt the longer that I could get my mind off of it, the longer I felt better. I always had Calm Pro with me, and I always had Ativan with me. That was my security blanket. That helped. If I had it with me, I felt better. And then I was going like, you know, 3 days, 4 days, a week where I felt normal. And then I would have a couple days where I didn't. And then I would, all of a sudden it was going on like a month where I felt really good. It was about my 6th month that I was like, oh my God, I think I just went a month feeling normal. Like it took that long. It really did. And it felt really good to go a month. And then in all of this, in about September, I had been doing like a lot of research on, you know, after cancer, how to keep it away, what to do for myself to, you know, maintain, like live a happy life. I never wanted to have to go through this again, ever. So everything led back to diet. What is in our food, the shit that causes some of this stuff. And I became like obsessed with it. I changed our entire family to healthy ingredients, whole food diet. I look at the ingredients list on every single thing that comes into our home. I don't want any chemicals in there. I just want to live a healthy life. I want my family to be healthy. So that is one of the biggest things I changed. I also feel like it did amazing things to my body. When I was in charge of that, I felt like I was in charge of my health. That gave me more confidence. It gave me, you know, that feeling that I could get past this. So that I implemented in about September and still do it today. And I still think that's a huge thing. Then in December, I went in a jiu-jitsu competition of my own, and on a good day, those make me super anxious. And like, So I did get very panicky over that, and it was a hard day. I felt very panicked, but I didn't have a panic attack. So to me, that was a win. Like, I felt good about that. But it did kind of like trigger some more panic. And for a while after that, I like had that feeling back. But then I hit Chris. We are gone from home a bit. We're kind of just eating whatever, whenever. I believe in balance, so I eat healthy as much as I can. I usually try to stick to like an 80-20 rule. 80% of the time I'm eating whole foods, 20% I can binge, I can live my life, whatever. So around Christmas, I'm eating like all shit, basically, just, you know, Christmas suppers. And I started to feel really anxious. I was not feeling good in December, like the whole sort of 2 weeks that my kids were off school, because we were just doing festivities the whole time. And yeah, felt super terrible over Christmas. After Christmas, I like hit hard with the diet, back on my supplements, like just, okay, need to get feeling better. The whole month of January, I felt amazing. At this point, I'm like, it's gone. I have never felt better. This is it. I'm done. I'm done with all of this. I get to live my life now. Like, I was so excited. And then hit the first week of February, and I just feel anxious again. And the whole month of February, I haven't felt this bad since right after my surgery. We did travel to Arizona, and several times in Arizona, I felt like I was going to have a panic attack. Just so weird, because I was having so much fun. I loved that trip. It was so fun. The kids were having fun. And while I was having fun, I was super having fun. I just had these like random moments, and they were always when I was out of control. So once I was a passenger in a vehicle. It was a small car, black car. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a panic attack. But it was, you know, not having my own vehicle. You know, when they wanted to go home, like I was depending on them for control. Yeah, it's weird. And then like I still to this day always have my Ativan on me at all times. There's a couple times where I was like, oh my God, I think I forgot my Ativan, and it was like almost instant panic attack, but I didn't, luckily, so then I got over it. I took Compro a lot. That supplement that I take when I feel panicky. It just helps so much. I was taking that every day and it was helping, but I don't know, this February I did feel pretty terrible. When I got back from Arizona, I immediately just started feeling a lot better. I think just getting back to my routine, back on my supplements, back to eating well. I feel a lot better now. So I'm really hoping like that January bliss of amazingness, I hope that comes back, because that felt so good. So good. Yeah. That's where we're at now. I mean, it's end of February. So still going through it, still, you know, fighting the good fight, but things are a lot better. At this point, I like feel confident enough that maybe I could talk to like a counselor or something about like the having control and being so dependent on Ativan and Compro. Like I said, I'm not taking the Ativan. I literally haven't taken Ativan since like the weeks after my surgery. But just like having that security blanket, like just in case. It's strange, and I probably should talk to somebody about it. At the beginning, you might ask why I didn't talk to like a counselor or something sooner. I was having a really hard time talking about it. Talking about it made all of the feelings come back. Talking about was the number one thing that made me panic. So that was not something I was comfortable with. I was not comfortable like going in and talking to a stranger about everything that was going on, because I knew that I would send me into a panic attack, and then like I couldn't talk about it anyway because my mind just goes fuzzy when I'm in that mode. So I wasn't comfortable talking about it then. I also had like a firm belief that it was a physical response to something. So I didn't want to heal the mental side of it. I wanted to heal the physical side of it. And then once I had that under control, then I could work on the mental aspect, which I think is where I'm at now. I think that the physical part of it is so much better that I think now I could probably work on the mental aspect. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'll probably head in the direction of now. But I feel a lot better. I should also mention a huge thing that has helped me. I can't believe I haven't brought this up sooner, but exercise is like such amazing medicine. I got back to jujitsu as soon as I can, and if you've ever done jujitsu, it is like you're sopping wet when you're done, like an open mat day. Like my hair is literally, I could wring it out. My clothes I could wring out. So when you're sweating out all of your toxins. So getting like a good sweat on is so important for your health, and like mentally and physically. That helped me so much. Still to this day, like if I go a week without exercise, I'm like, that's when I start getting anxious again. Like I need to get that sweat out and feel better about it. I think of what else. I don't know. Yeah, like the whole journey after my surgery has been absolutely so much harder than where I was at before my surgery. Going into my surgery, I felt positive, great mindset. And then the weeks after were just like I was like totally fine. That surgery, I thought I was just good to go. I thought I could get over this mountain and live my life, and it just went it's like, think again, Megan. Not gonna happen. So I got set back into reality, and it was a rough one. It was a very, very rough one, but I'm hoping I'm on the other side of that now. If you have any questions, please comment. If I have enough questions, I will do a video on answers. And if you like have questions about my experience, what my mindset was at, anything about my naturopath, love her. If any questions at all, leave them below, and if there's enough, I will maybe do like a question and answer video. And I just hope this helps. I will end this video again by saying, please go get your PAPs done. It's recommended every 3 years, but please go every year. I had normal PAPs, and then I wasn't due for another year, and I ended up having cancer when I went. So please don't wait 3 years. Go every year. Also, please look into the Gardasil vaccine for your daughter, yourself, or anybody that you're in charge of getting vaccines for. All of this could have been prevented with the Gardasil vaccine, and I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. So please consider the Gardasil vaccine and go get your PAPs. But I think that's it.